we are on Earth, and the Earth is just one planet in the galaxy. You can compare that to an ant on the patio in this backyard. The ant doesn't know that there's more than the patio. He just keeps walking. He doesn't know he's just part of lots of worlds. And the human race is sort of like that. After they discovered what's up there, they know they're only a little part of this huge galaxy. I think there probably are many different kinds of living forms, cells, and organisms. Some may not be visible, some may not have been discovered, and some may be on places we can't go. And they all might have the same perspective as we do on this, that there might be others.
Yeah. Gotta find yourself in this world. Do that, you'll understand yourself better, and you'll understand this world better. Every day is another journey.
Yahoo! Welcome, my beautiful brothers and sisters, to the Aquarian Adepts, my platform to become your spiritual server. And this is your weekly astrological forecast for today, Tuesday the 24th, through Sunday the 29th of April of 2018. Thank you so much for joining me. And let's dive into the astrology for this week, which before I went to this reading, I took some time to kind of meditate just for a little bit. And after meditating, I still had this moment where I was just trying to think over what the theme of this week was. And I was really trying to really feel through it, because this week is an interesting week. I believe this is going to be a very transformative week, but I think it's also going to be a week where we have some moments of great joy and epiphany, but there are also going to be like some uncomfortable things that we have to deal with. And that's mainly due to the Mars and Pluto conjunction, which I'll talk more about that in depth later. Essentially what I have here is I broke it down day by day, and I highlighted what I think is the most important aspect on each day. Excuse me. And of course, we do have the full moon at the end of the week, which I will make a separate video for that, going more in depth with the full moon in Scorpio. But I'm sitting here like thinking about the week and trying to really come up with the theme for it, and I'm just like, the first thing that I thought before I even went to meditation is that you can't take everything with you. And the reason why I say that is because this is a very transformative week, and a lot of times when we go through these transformational periods in our life, we can't take everything from our past with us, because otherwise we don't even allot the space for new things to come in, hence the transformation. So this is really a week where we have to really decide what's coming with us on the journey and what we have to leave behind. And I think this is going to be difficult for a lot of people, especially since, now that we have Chiron in Aries, but it's still at 0 degrees. It won't shift to 1 degree until I want to say it's later next week or something like that. So we still have about a week of being at this 0 point with Chiron and Aries, which took the attention off of us healing our spiritual story and how we relate to spirit, to now, how do we heal ourselves? How do we heal our personality? How do we heal our ego? And I think our ego is wanting to hold on to certain aspects of the past that helped us out. But we realize on a deeper level, on a deeper soul level, and of a higher spiritual nature, that not everything can come with us on the journey to the next level. And some people are really having a difficult time. I think everyone's having a difficult time with some aspect. And, some people might fall into the trap of trying to hold on to this thing. And I think that the universe is going to allow us to hold on to this thing. If you choose to go that route, will allow us to hold on to it for a year. But then after that, I don't think we'll be able to hold on to it any longer. I think literally we will be forced to change. But this is kind of like an opportunity this week, I feel, to where the universe is like, okay, if you really do want to make this change, you can make this change. And then the rest of the year, while we do have some intense aspects, we have this eclipses later in Leo and stuff this year, But we'll come at the end of this year and we'll be like, wow, this was a fantastic year for really changing my life and really establishing this new sense of self-worth and value. But this is really a critical juncture, I would say, this week of really digging deep and acknowledging the way that we order ourselves, the way that we really present ourselves to the world, and then if we each take the individual change, because it's incredible how we have a lot of these energies in Capricorn, right? Which deals with society and order and politics and career and legacy and how you kind of appear to the world. It naturally rules the midhaven. And then we have also Chiron going into Aries, which is a very personal sign. You know, the sun just left this spot. Mercury is still here, which means our mind is really focused on ourself. Uranus is here, so we're still revolutionizing the self. So we have like this weird pull between ourself and then the world. But I think what we're discovering is that in order for the world to change, we have to change. And people say that over and over and over again like a broken record, but it's really true. And I believe over the next 8 years, we're going to discover that. I know this is a weekly video, but I'm just kind of throwing this out there as background because I really think that this week is a powerful wake-up call to those that, to everyone that is like, if you really want to change your life, you have to understand that not everything can come with you on the journey. And that's a difficult thing because it's hard to let go of things sometimes. But I think what it is that, and even before I did that, I kind of just drew some cards for clarification. I got the Three of Swords. I got the Six of Swords. I got the Emperor card, and then I got the Eight of Swords. So all of this air energy. It's all of this air energy. So it's really about how we communicate to ourselves and how we communicate to the world. It's like, are we going to keep ourselves in this broken-hearted space, whether it's with relationships, whether it's with a job, whether it's with our family, whether it's with ourselves? Because it's not just relationships. It can be like, you can be brokenhearted from a dream that you tried to pursue and it just didn't work out. Or you can be brokenhearted from a family situation that just didn't really pan out and maybe you don't have the support from your family. Then you have the Six of Swords, which is talking about travel. And it's interesting how in my weekly sword video, if you haven't looked at it, I actually drew the equivalent, which is the Six of Bows. But in this deck I have with my Oshos and Tarot, it replaces it and it's called the Burden. So it's like, there's a burden that we have to leave behind. And it might be really hard to leave it behind because you get attached to it. I'm going to bring this up just because I feel like it's really necessary. I'm a huge nerd. And one of my favorite animes is Magi. And there's this character in the show, Morgiana, who's one of my favorite characters, if not my favorite character in the show. And she was a slave. And she had a really interesting character progression throughout the show because it showed how she actually became attached to her chains. But then by the end of the series, she actually turned it into a bit of a superpower. Like she was able to fly with her chains that were, shackled, shackled to her feet. But I think a lot of times we can do that. Is that even though we free ourselves and we even give ourselves the opportunity to change and transform, we still hold on to these burdens because we become attached to them. And I feel like that's really applicable for this week, Then you have the Emperor card, which in this deck it's called the Rebel. And when I think of the Rebel, I think of Aquarius. Like I think of, and it's funny how the South Node is here. So it's like we have this energy where it's like really you do want to go your own way, but it's so easy now to fall into the masses. It's so easy to follow what everyone else is doing because it's interesting how Aquarius simultaneously rules the rebel, but also rules the masses. So it's like you can have a massive group of people that believe in the same thing, but they might be led by someone who's blind themselves. And really the world is the blind leading the blind. No one has it 100% figured out. But the thing about Aquarius is that it allows you to tap into your unique self. Like I said, Uranus is here at Aries. It's at the edge of Aries, and I'm going to even show in this video later how Uranus is going to make a really important aspect to the moon and how it's going to be the last aspect of its kind until, of course, Uranus retrogrades back into Aries. But, this is a major point. This is a major breakthrough point this week of finding out what we really can take with us on this journey, and then really beginning to tap more into our self-worth and our self-value. And like I said, it's like we might be feeling like this need to be a rebel, but at the same time, we are feeling like we want to be able to relate to the people. We want to be part of a group. We want to feel like we're a part of something, but we don't have any Aquarius energy right now. This week we don't have any Cancer energy, so emotionally we're not going to really be there. We have Pisces energy, but it's Neptune, and that's where its home spot is, so that's more of like an isolation thing. It's more of like we can really get looped up in our own delusions and stuff like that. And we do have Scorpio energy, but that's more of like, Jupiter's there, so it's really about digging deep and revealing everything and really just expanding what really turns us on, and not being afraid to stand on that, not being afraid to stand on what actually turns us on. So the first part of this video, I'm not really talking about the transits. I'm just really kind of talking about just the overall energy of this week. I think it's going to be a very powerful week. I think it's going to be a very positive week. Even with my Sword Tarot reading, I have 4 court cards that came up. So this is actually going to be a week where people outside of you are going to play a huge influence. But at the same time, you're going to want to go within and have the courage to be you anyways. I think that's another theme of this week, is have the courage to be you anyways, because no one else is going to do it. That's why you're here. You're here to be you. You're not here to be anyone else. Yeah, you might find a particular groups and different sects. Like, I'm a fan of the Philadelphia Eagles, but there are other things within that group, or other people within that group, that I probably don't vibe on with them in other different areas, what's another group I guess I consider myself, a part of? Oh, like here, yeah, I'm an astrologer. I'm an astrologer. There are a lot of astrologers out there, but not all of us believe in the same thing. So it's like we have to realize that, we are a part of these cultures and we're a part of these groups. We're still an individual. And while I do believe that we are all of one energy, we're all of this one love, that we wouldn't have come to Earth if we didn't want to experience what it was like to be an individual. I think there's this push within the spiritual community that's trying to banish the ego as if it's a bad thing, but really that's not the case. That's why Chiron is here. Chiron is here because now we really need to heal this aspect. I think it's great how the New Age movement, since really, I guess you could say since the hippie movement, but really even like the late 80s and 90s, how it's really begun to grow and take off, especially here within the last, 10 years, even since 2012, how the spiritual and New Age community has really exploded and grown and evolved. But now we kind of have to sort through everyone's individual story. We have to sort through our own stories, because it's like before it was rather, I'm not gonna say easy, but anybody could kind of infiltrate the spiritual community, and they can help people and then charge people for all these services and seminars and all this stuff and help empower people. But whether they actually did the work themselves is another story. So it's like we all just went through intense spiritual work. A lot of it was just highly subconscious. And now we're about to do work on our person, on our behavior, on our actions. And the next 8 years are really going to determine who is the cream of the crop when it comes to working on themselves, who is the cream of the crop when it comes to really manifesting from a space of personal integrity that is in line with their higher spiritual nature. And it's like we still have an ego, we still have an identity, we still have a person. And yes, we are all one, but we also have to realize that, the one is only as good as the sum of its parts. And I think that's really what it's coming down to. It's that we have to realize that, we're all in this together. And in order for us to make it to the next step of our evolution, personally and as a collective, some things have to be let go of. And that might be hard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through day by day and let you know what are the transits, and then I'm going to highlight the main transits that are going to be occurring. So real quick, I'm just going to kind of run through it. So on today, Tuesday, the main thing that we started off with is that we had Jupiter's sextiling Mars at 20 degrees, right? And this is powerful because this is speaking of, once again, Jupiter is the planet of expansion, good luck, and Scorpio it's showing us the good luck and fortune that comes from acknowledging our deep side, the acknowledging a bit of our dark side, and these passions that we kind of sweep under the rug because it's like taboo and it's hidden, right? It's the 8th house, so it's the house of death and transformation and rebirth. It's the house of also shared resources. So, and I like to think of Scorpio really as this guardian and protector of this sacred knowledge. And really what it's about is that anybody can access this knowledge because we all have Scorpio energy. But for such a long time, we have tried to sweep a lot of this under the rug. But now Jupiter here is really expanding it. So with Jupiter sextiling Mars, which Mars is a traditional ruler of Scorpio, right now it's in Capricorn, it's like our action energy is like, okay, how can I act off of these deeper passions and these deeper turn-ons? How can I act in a way that this really does expand my view and allows me to climb this mountain? Because right now it's in Capricorn, so it's climbing, it's building. That's really where the week kind of starts off, is with this sextile. We also have Venus moving into Gemini, and this is really, I think this is a very positive thing. Venus flew through Taurus, like it just flew through Taurus, and while Venus was there, we were learning about our self-worth and our self-value and what we are attracted to, right? Canonically, it's known as the planet of love, but at the same time, Venus, in many ways, it represents just what we find attractive, like what sparkles, what we like is nice, what like the shiny things that we like. And shiny things don't necessarily have to be jewelry and stuff like that. It could just be like what puts a spark in our eye, so when it's moving into Gemini, now we're going to be able to start seeing the value in other people. If you took the time during this Venus and Taurus transit to really work on yourself and just find some more sense of self-worth and self-value, you're really going to be able to start to see the value in other people because they saw their own value. The Venus moving into Gemini, relationships are going to spark off right now because Gemini does rule the twins. It does rule the Lover's card in Tarot, so relationships can definitely spark off during this time. New relationships can spark off. Current relationships can really be like rekindled and grow during this period, where confident communication during this time will be key. Confident communication while Venus is in Gemini is going to be nice. And the good thing about it is that Gemini is kind of it's a sign of truth, and they definitely, but the thing about Gemini is that it kind of bounces around and has like a bit of knowledge about everything. So Venus and Gemini might keep things a little bit surface level, but the good thing about it is that if you took the time to really find more of your value and kind of redefine your self-worth and your self-value, while Venus is in Gemini, like I said, you're going to be able to see it in others, and you're going to be able to have that confident communication with them. And it's going to be kind of light and playful. This is going to be like a honeymoon energy almost. For new relationships, obviously, and for current relationships. This is going to bring about that honeymoon energy where it's like you're kind of like courting each other again. You're going to the movies, buying each other flowers, doing all that sort of stuff. And I even urge you, if you've been in a long-term relationship and things that might have gotten a little stale, use this time right now to kind of bring some of that courtship back. Because the truth of the matter is that whether you've been with someone for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, the courtship never ends, and it should never end. You can call them that you're married, but they're still your girlfriend, they're still your boyfriend, they're still your best friend, and you're still courting them, you're still dating them. Like, it's just that you might have a house, you might have kids, but you're still dating them. So while Venus is in Gemini, take the time to really find the value in other people. Take the time to really find the value in communication. Have good conversations. This is going to be a time where you can stay up late into the night, just like talking hours on end with someone that you love, because there'll be so much to talk about, and it'll be great. Especially if you took the time to find your self-worth and self-value that Venus did when it was in in Taurus. This will be a really good time it's going to be a really good time for relationships, I would say, while Venus is here. The moon in Leo is going to trine Uranus at 28 degrees, and soon after that, the moon will ingress into Virgo, and then it will ingress into Virgo. So this is good because for the most of the day on Tuesday, the moon is going to be in Leo, which means that emotionally we're going to be more connected to our heart and creativity, and just the whole love factor, because Leo is love. They just love for love's sake, right? So I would say that Tuesday is a very positive day because most of the transits are really positive, uplifting. It's going to be a day where really you're going to be, I would say, almost like falling back in love with yourself and falling back in love with the process. Chiron is also involved because it's going to sextile Venus as Venus moves into Taurus. Actually, I think it's technically already in Taurus right now, because I can show you just really quick, because this is the sextile, and then this is Venus moving into Taurus. So, I mean, excuse me, Gemini. And then when we have, let's see, it's going to sextile. So that was, the sextile comes a little bit later in the day at 8:40. But you'll see that throughout the day is that like we have these really positive transits, and then by the end of the day, the sextile comes up. So it's like we might be feeling a little raw and a little like emotional. I won't say even a little emotional because Chiron is right here at the beginning of Aries. It's an edge because this is an edge and this is an edge. So we have Chiron at the edge of Aries, and then we have Venus at the edge of Gemini. But this is also like a rekindling of fire in current relationships, or just, you know, fanning the flames. This is new relationships sparking off. This is us finding value in other people. And then they will look at us, and this is almost like the energy where it's like, you can tell someone right now something really crazy about yourself, or like a secret or whatever, and they, if they did this, the work, and if they did the work while Venus was in Taurus, they'll be like, oh, let me tell you about this crazy thing that I did. And you're going to be bouncing stories off each other about these different behaviors and actions and ways that you used to be, and that might actually bring you closer. Whereas before, you might have felt like you might have been judging each other and stuff like that. This might actually give you the opportunity to be really open and raw with people. And it's like, you know, depending upon the person, of course, they might kind of like be like, really, you did that? But then if it's the right person, if the vibes are good, they'll be like, oh, wow, so we all have done some crazy shit, you know? So that's Tuesday. And I think that the main transit of the day for that is Venus moving into Gemini. I think that's really the most important thing on Tuesday. On Wednesday, the 25th, we do have Saturn retrograde squaring Mercury at 9 degrees. And then Mars is going to start beginning its conjunction with Pluto retrograde at 21 degrees. We also have the Moon, which has shifted into Virgo at this point, is opposing Neptune at 15 degrees. Wednesday is going to be kind of a wonky day because we have a square, we have an opposition, and we have the beginning of this conjunction, which is probably not going to be the most comfortable. So I think Tuesday is going to be kind of a day where it's like, you almost kind of want to savor Tuesday and just really learn to appreciate it, because going into Wednesday, you might start to feel a bit of this discomfort. And let me show you why. So we have this Mercury square Saturn. This is the exact time. So on April 25th at 5:24 p.m., we have this square between Mercury, which has just come out of retrograde, to Saturn retrograde at 9 degrees. Now this is really interesting because this is like Saturn, which is now retrograde, which means that now when it comes to hard work and getting things done and putting one step in front of the other, Saturn's kind of shown us how to do it up to a certain point, and now it's like, okay, now that you have to do it. Now that it's going to be squaring Mercury, our mind might try and do things in the old way that doesn't really align with what Saturn has been trying to teach us. So there could be a potential misstep on Wednesday of really trying to push things forward. Now, like I said, we do have Chiron here, so this energy is already beginning to get healed. You know, Chiron, despite the fact that it hasn't moved all throughout Aries, it's still going to be healed because, look, the sun moved through this spot, so it illuminated all of this area. And now that Chiron is here, it's going to be slowly opening the door. It's going to be kind of like a domino effect. So even though Mercury is here at 9 degrees, Chiron is still affecting it. I want you to think of it as a domino effect. Like Chiron has opened the door to Aries, and all of these dominoes have technically already fallen. We're just going to be coming into the information slowly. All right. Mercury representing our mind, communication. This is really about establishing that confidence that mental confidence and that mental clarity that we can put one foot in front of the other and we can actually get things done. And that's really going to help people with this conjunction right here. We kind of have to settle things within our mind and really just talk. This is really about having confident communication with ourselves. And knowing that even though Saturn is retrograde, which is honestly a bit of a relief, I'm not even going to lie, it's also going to be like, if you really do put in the hard work right now, Saturn's really just going to give you double. Like that's really what this is about. But this is the square, and I think this is probably going to be the most important thing here. We also can see that, you know, the moon is beginning to make this opposition to Neptune. And let's just go forward just a couple of hours so you can kind of see it real time. And here it's pretty much on. It's pretty much exactly on conjunct. 15 degrees. Neptune is halfway through Pisces. The moon is halfway through Virgo. And this is a very magical axis right here. The Virgo Pisces axis. Because you have Pisces, the last sign of the zodiac, super magical. I think it represents like wizards. I think it represents the imagination. And Neptune here is really speaking about, you know, you really can use your imagination to manifest things. And since this is Virgo energy, this is a very grounded energy. And the moon here is really going to be illuminating how we have manifested things up to this point. And there might be a little bit of a tension right here because, yes, we have this square and we have this conjunction beginning right here. So this is going to reveal how we've used our imagination up until this point and what has manifested because of it. Okay? And Neptune's going to probably be telling us that you can do more. You can really use your imagination to push yourself forward. But we also have to consider, you know, where we are right now in the current reality. So that's going to be Wednesday. I think Wednesday's going to be a little bit of a tense day. But it's not going to be as intense as Thursday. Even though there's some good things happening on Thursday, I don't think it's going to be nearly as intense. On Thursday, we have the moon sextiling Pluto. So let's go ahead and just move this forward. So you'll be able to see that more. And so there comes that. The moon's going to come into its sextile with Jupiter here. And then let's just keep this thing moving forward. So we have, okay, bam, we have this conjunction. This is really the big one right here. Bam. All right, this is 7:24 Eastern Standard Time. We have this Mars conjunct Pluto at 21 degrees in Capricorn. Alright, I don't know how long my camera cut out there, but anyways, back to the astrology. We have Mars conjuncting Pluto in Capricorn at 21 degrees. Pluto retrograde at that. Pluto, I like to think of it as a wrecking ball. If you even look at its glyph, it kind of looks like, it looks like a sun that's kind of like nested between, I'm not really sure what this is, but if you turn it upside down, it kind of almost looks like a wrecking ball. So Pluto has been going through Capricorn and wrecking and transforming and transmuting Capricorn, which is legacy, career, how do we appear to others in many ways. It represents politics, order, society. And Pluto has been reforming this because let's just face it, society needs to be reformed. Society needs to be changed. And yeah, we have a lot of great technological advances and stuff like that. People have great longevity these days, but we have to keep moving forward. Things just can't stay the same anymore. And, there's this energy of stagnation that I'm pretty sure we all feel. It's like no matter every year that goes by, something new happens, some new technology comes out, and it's all cool and grand, but something at the core and fundamental aspect of our society needs to change. That the foundation, it needs to be altered. So this is really powerful because not only are these two, I don't know if Pluto's technically a malefic. I know Saturn is, but I guess Pluto can be because it's not necessarily the easiest energy to deal with. It's transformational energy. It can be harsh. It's Scorpio. but it also can be a very beautiful energy, and I say that because I am Scorpio, but we have Mars, which is a traditional ruler of this. So Jupiter is kind of playing a role in this, because even though it's a loose sextile, Jupiter is letting us know, it's like, okay, great fortunes can be had. I mean, it's at 55 minutes, so it's almost 20 degrees too. So it's a decent sextile. It's pretty close. Mars conjunct Pluto is really speaking to what actions do we need to take to transform our world. Like, bottom line, what actions do we need to take that will transform our world, and it's connected to this fortune that comes from truly expressing what really turns us on. And this is kind of like a I was going to say it's kind of an individual thing, but I really do think that Jupiter in Scorpio is really about getting to the bottom of what turns us on. And I know that sounds very sexual, and it's meant to sound sexual, because it's like we really need to figure out a way to create a better society that's more conducive for everyone. That's more conducive for, eliminating homelessness, treating the animals better, cleaning up the planet. And like, you see things, like cool things on the internet, like there's this like one cool like machine that cleans up trash out of the ocean. But you also see those things about like those giant trash islands floating in the Pacific. That's crazy. So Mars is our action energy. It's also our warrior energy. So we have to understand that, like, yeah, we do want peace and harmony, but this is a bit of a war, and we are kind of at war with ourselves. We're at war with our old way of being, and when it hits Pluto on this day, on Thursday, we're really going to get to the bottom of, okay, what actions do we need to take that's really going to allow us to transform our world in just the right direction, because we have to look at this. It's heading towards Aquarius. Not only that, but Mars, it's already slowing down. It's not moving as fast as it normally would be, because it's going to be retrograding here soon in the next couple of months. So Mars isn't even moving that fast. It's not even charging into battle. When it comes on top of Pluto this day, it's really going to be asking, it's like, okay, it's coming up almost like a battle strategy. This is kind of like when you see, like in those movies where they have like the map out and they're looking, it's like, okay, we got to do this, we got to do that. This isn't about just charging into battle. We have to be methodical about this, especially since we have Saturn in the mix too. We have to be methodical about this. We can't just jump right in. And you can also see that we have this trine here with the moon. So the moon's still going to be showing us, hey, this is reality. This is how things are, and our emotions are going to be involved. How do you feel about how reality is right now? And you can't get super, super caught up in this. You want to maintain a level of detachment, but at the same time, recognize where your emotions are, but also see, it's like, okay, how can I be different? How can I change? How can I transform? How can I act in a way that brings up everyone higher? Because, like I said, Capricorn is the mountain, and this is about not only us individually climbing, but our society as a whole climbing. So how can we bring our society to the next level? That is what Pluto conjunct Mars and Capricorn is. How can we bring our society as a collective to the next level? What actions do we take that will take this to the next level? All right. And if you take this just forward, that's in the morning of Thursday. So Thursday all day is going to be a rather interesting day. And then we have, you go throughout the day. And then we have 24. So towards the end of the day, now you have this opposition that's beginning to happen. Bam! You have the opposition of the moon opposing Chiron. So it's like, and it's funny because it's at the edge of Libra. It's beginning in Libra. So it's like, this is really beginning to do with people and relationships. So, and it's dealing with the self. So it's like at the beginning of the day, we're focused on career, legacy, society, but by the end of the day, we're becoming more emotionally aware of our personal relationships and how we order ourselves, how we really act. And the key to really transforming this week is to transforming the relationship with ourselves And while Libra is, relationships with other people, but it's also the scales and balance. So by the end of the day, you're probably going to have like this sense and idea of like, okay, we really do want peace and harmony in the world. We really do want balance. But the only way we're going to strike out this balance in the world, and the only way we're going to actually achieve this transformation is if we heal ourselves and we heal our ego. And as you can see, at this time, Mercury is beginning its trine with the North Node here. So it's actually in our destiny. In our mind's actually going to become more aware of our destiny. And that's Thursday. Thursday is a really powerful day. Like I said, the main thing is this Mars-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn, which everyone's been feeling. The energy leading up to it has been very, very intense. And I wouldn't be surprised this day if you really see it's kind of interesting things in the news, people popping off on social media, people probably being social media warriors, even though social media in many ways I believe is ruled by Aquarius. You might see a bit of that today on Thursday. Just be aware of that. As we move through the days, we're going to have this trine on Friday to Venus at 3 degrees. It's pretty close here. We have this trine, the moon trining Venus. So this is positive because, as I said, relationships during this time and what we're attracted to can definitely receive a lot of benefits. And since the moon's going to be moving into Libra, this is about striking up that balance. So even if at the beginning of the week on Tuesday you found someone really, like say you're single and you find someone new that you really, really like, and on Tuesday it's nice and it's beautiful and it's kind of just like makes you feel like a kid again, and it's like it's those first date vibes, and as the week progresses it's going to get a little bit harder. So maybe you don't hear from them a couple of days, or they might not be all that you thought they were, and that's just mainly because you have to get through Wednesday and Thursday, and it's going to be a little bit tough on everybody. Maybe they even pop off on you, and you begin to re-question, like, okay, is this the relationship I do want? Or if you're in a current relationship, something might happen between Wednesday and Thursday that might make you kind of question it, and really, it's not really the other person. It's really you. It's really about recognizing where you have to change. But the great thing is that on Friday, we actually begin, this is 3:24 a.m., we begin the day with this trine that reminds us, okay, well, how can we strike balance? How can we strike harmony? How can we strike some type of peace with this? And Venus is still going to be saying, like, you know what, despite the way that they might have been, or despite their behaviors, despite that, they're not squeaky clean like none of us are, despite all that, they still have Libra energy in them. So that means that they really, on some level, definitely want peace and harmony. So how can we still find that balance and still, everyone has something that's attractive about them, okay? Everyone has something that's really just sparks about them. We all have that unique gift. So the beginning of Friday, it's kind of Friday's a positive day after 2 days of some harshness where it's really about, it's kind of calming things down. It's like, okay, things don't have to be so bad. We really can strike this balance. We can strike this harmony. Let's just learn to kind of appreciate each other. And that's really what Friday's going to be about. It's about appreciation. We also, as the day progresses, I'm going to just move this forward so you can see it. I'm going to have, bam, okay. Let me move it forward just a little bit more just so it can be a little bit more exact with Mercury. Because as you can see, we have this trine at 10 degrees. And I'm going to try and get it as exact as I can. Oh, but here's the other thing that I wanted to show you. All right, here we have the trine. So this is about our mind communicating with our destiny. So our mind is going to be communicating with our heart. This is interesting how it's happening at the same time that the moon is going to be opposing Mercury. So it's like there might be some sort of conflict between the heart and the mind, and how maybe trying to strike this balance of like how you see things and how other people see things. There might be a little bit of a strain here, but we also do have the sextile here in the midst of it. So while there might be a strain between what we think is correct in our mind, what other people think is correct in their mind, we still have this sextile here that's reminding us that, perhaps you guys definitely are both speaking from the heart. So just keep that in mind and try not to get so overly, I guess you could say, emotional about it, and I try not to get so overly attached to it because we all are moving towards a great destiny. All right, but I also want you to see this: Uranus has moved to 29 degrees of Aries, at the edge of Aries, and this is really powerful. This is amazing because we all have been feeling this energy. Uranus has been revolutionizing our ego, personality, and actions. And it's about to shift into Taurus, which is going to be huge because it's going to revolutionize what we find as valuable. It's going to revolutionize that spot. And Friday is really going to be a day, the 27th, is going to be a day of learning to really appreciate life, learning to appreciate other people, learning to appreciate your destiny, learning to appreciate other people's destiny, even if it's not necessarily in line with yours. Some people you walk with them for a season. Some people you walk with for a lifetime. That's just how it goes. But we have to learn to appreciate our destiny. We have to learn to appreciate each other too. So that's what Friday is really going to be about. And as you move forward with this hour, the one thing that I thought was interesting. Now we're on April 28th on Saturday, and really, Saturday, not much is happening. There's not really too many aspects, not anything exact anyways. Mars is coming off the conjunction to Pluto here. The Mercury is coming off the trine to the North Node. I mean, you have a quincunx that the moon will be making to Neptune, but not much is really happening on Saturday. Saturday's kind of a chill day. It's kind of like this day of rest, I would almost say. It's this day right before the new moon happens, where it's like we're kind of go into this review period of how to really manifest our deeper desires, right? So as you move this thing forward through Saturday, let's just blaze ahead, right? Okay, and this is really what I want to show you because this is really important. And this might be more of a Sunday aspect, technically. I think it's technically be more of a Sunday aspect. Yes, you look at that, April 29th. We're already on Sunday. We have this opposition between the moon and Uranus. This, once again, is huge, all right? Right here at the edge of Libra and then Uranus. So this is really going to be about standing our ground on who we are. Because while you might be trying to establish some harmony and balance with other people, this opposition between the moon and Uranus is really about standing our ground on who we are, standing on ground on the uniqueness of who we are, and not really being afraid of expressing that. Saturday and Sunday is going to be kind of a day where people might question you, people might not necessarily understand who you are becoming, really, because that's what this energy is about. It's talking about who you are becoming. 2 + 9 is 11, which is Virgo. If you know anything about Christopher Wojtecki and the Steps of Serious Joy, that's really where that comes from. But this is really about standing our ground on who we are and not being afraid to express that. It's funny because we also have an 11 right here, Mercury. Look at that. So even our mind is on board with that. And you move this forward, and and the great thing about this, the reason why I say that this is very important is because this is going to be the last time that the moon opposes Uranus while it's in Aries. Now, albeit Uranus will retrograde back into Aries, and the moon will make an opposition then, but for the purposes of Uranus moving into Taurus for the first time, or at least in a while, I have to do the math of when it was, because Uranus makes this transit around, I think it's once every 80-something odd years or something like that. I gotta actually look at the math and do it. But this is going to be the last time that this opposition happens before Uranus goes back into Aries and then it comes back into Taurus for good. But this is really important because this is going to be the first case of it. And this is really going to be about standing our ground on who you are, being okay with who you are, learning to accept yourself for who you are and who you are becoming, because that's what this is heading towards. This is heading towards Taurus. This is heading towards manifesting who we are, manifesting our unique self, manifesting our revolutionized self, right? So if you move this forward, continue to move forward. Now the moon has shifted into Scorpio, And really, of course, the main thing that happens on Sunday is, of course, this full moon, which I will do a longer, more in-depth video about, but I do want to just show you just real quick. So here we have it at almost exact right here. Anyways, so I think I actually had this at, that's 8:55, so it's really freaking close. 8:58, I believe, is when it's exact. Yeah, so here we go. So April 29th, 2018 at 8:58 Eastern time, so you can calculate it based off of where you are. We're going to have this full moon in Scorpio, which, I mean, it's getting close to Jupiter, but we're going to have this full moon that's going to illuminate. The sun's going to be talking about self-worth and self-value and how to activate that energy. And the moon is here, is going to be like, well, I definitely feel like I want to express this side of myself. I definitely want to feel like I can be this person. I definitely want to feel like I can uncover this treasure. I definitely want to feel that I don't have to hide these taboos anymore, but dang, man, like, should I really express it? Do I really want to do that? Yes. What turns you on, man? I keep saying this. I've said I've been saying this for like the past week. What is it that turns you on? And it's not just sexual either. This is creative projects. This is life. Something that could turn you on can simply be going outside and smelling the flowers, or turning you on can be like you have to make blueberry pancakes like once a week because you just love blueberry pancakes. Whenever you eat blueberry pancakes, you just get this sensation that rushes throughout your body that's like, oh my gosh, this is heaven. It could be that. Like, what turns you on? Like, that's what this energy is. It could be exercising. For some people, that can be like a turn on. It could be like, you've been denying yourself. This is like, you ever get runner's high? Like, I've had that before. It's like where you run and then you get like this high feeling and it feels really good. Yeah. So really, what is it that turns you on? And since it's at 9 degrees, I'm going to bring a bit of that, step astrology in here. This is about the action energy. So at the beginning of the week, we had Mars, the planet of action, and talking about how can we act in a way that transforms ourselves and therefore society, so we can bring society up to the whole. And then by the end of the week, like I said, the two most powerful days are going to be Thursday and Sunday, because we have this full moon, which is bringing to a head, really showing us all of our deeper desires. And Jupiter did go through this spot, so Jupiter already expanded this degree, in how we can really begin to act on that spot. Okay, and look at how many nines we have here. 9, 9, 9, 9, 9. We have a lot of 9 energy here. So this is really the end of a cycle, but also the beginning of a new cycle. This is why I said this is really going to be a week of you can't take everything with you to the next step. When you're playing Pokemon, and yes, I'm going to bring up Pokemon. I love Pokemon, if you couldn't already tell. When you're playing Pokemon and your Pokemon levels up to another level, and it's like, I'm sorry, you have to delete a move so you can learn this more powerful move. That's what you do. You delete Ember so your Charmeleon can learn Flamethrower, or freaking Fire Blast, or whatever. That's just what this is. In order for you to move to the next step, you have to relinquish old ways of being and old ways of valuing yourself and things that you have valued, so you can really begin to explore these deeper treasures that really resonate with your soul, that really resonate with that higher spiritual frequency, that's really going to also help you to begin to heal yourself and heal your ego. Because a lot of this, of course, is going to be playing off of Chiron. Chiron's going to be here for 8 to 10 years. And really, that's what this is about. This is about healing ourselves, like really healing ourselves. And once we begin to heal the actions, and once Chiron moves into Taurus, oh my goodness, the world's going to look so different. The world's going to because you're going to have people that really, the people who are going to change the world are going to be entrepreneurs, creative people, artists. And I like to think of entrepreneurs as artists. These are going to be the people that change the world, because the poets of the world, they're not necessarily the ones that write poetry, but they see themselves as the poetry. And poetry, for me, I mean, yeah, it can rhyme and all this stuff, but it's fluid. And if it's a haiku, it's very like simple. And a lot of times I think that the answer to all of our problems is very simple. It's the execution that takes a lot of hard work. So the answer really is simple. Be yourself and stand on that. Stand your ground. And if you might lose people along the way, that's okay. It's going to happen. But I promise you, by the end of the day, and even if it's in a couple of lifetimes from now, that person will come back to you and be like, hey, remember back in 2018 where you I thought you went off the deep end, but really you were just kind of ahead of your time. But now I see why you did that, because now it's like 2400 and we have created a society where there's no more homeless people, and we have like stations on like the moons of Pluto, and like I'm saying this stuff and you guys might think I'm crazy, but I'm just putting it out there because Neptune is in Pisces. It's possible. Use your imagination, expand it. It's yours. It's possible. If you can think it, it is possible. If you can imagine it, it is possible. So this is going to be a very powerful week of transformation. I know this is probably one of the longer videos. Like I said, I meditated on this message before I went in here just because I knew that there was something about this week that was going to really shift life forever. And I think it's like, and we're all going to have an opportunity to do this. Like I said, this is an opportunity to really do it and to make to like really gain a lot of ground this year. Come next year when the sun goes through Aries and it goes through Taurus. This same theme's going to kind of come up again, but a little bit different, which is really going to force the change. But this is kind of like a test drive almost of really what's to come. And I think you really want to take the opportunity this week to really be honest with yourself and really just dig in and just really express your truth. And, there might be some frustrations this week. But just keep chugging, keep moving forward. I really do believe that you will find that you can definitely make it through, and it's going to be quite amazing. So yes, that is the astrology for this week. If I had to really say if I really had to give it a theme, is you have to delete this move in order to gain a new move. Like that's just how it goes. It's like, you only have a slot of 4 moves in Pokemon, and if say your Pokemon knows Water Gun, Tackle, Tail Slap, and I don't know, Confusion. Confusion's a good one, and it wants to learn Water Pulse. Dude, you're going to have to delete one of those moves, in order to learn Water Pulse. I personally would delete Confusion, but we're all going to be a little bit confused at the end of the day. So it's like, in order for you to gain that new level, you have to create space so it can grow. It's just like whenever you're like planting a seed, because it's also like full moon. The full moon is also when you kind of like see the seeds of what happened when the new moon was in Scorpio. Like I said, like 6 months ago. So, it's also a culmination point and also like a planting point. New moons and full moons, they're culminations and they're planting points. So really, you want to create the space this week, especially at the end of the week with the full moon. You want to create the space where you're going to plant your new life and where you're going to plant the new you. And by adopting this new you and embracing this new you, it's not only adopting, it's already you. By embracing this new you, you're going to really push forward this year in a way that you just did not think was possible. By the time the sun hits Scorpio, you will be amazed and shocked at how far you come if you do the work this week. And honestly, if you're watching this video, I can pretty much guarantee that you are. So anyways, that is it for this video. I hope you all liked it. I'm being told to just pull a quick color card for the general collective. You can expect to see your weekly tarot scopes for each sign sometime tomorrow. I'm going to try and get them done The last 2 times I've done it, it's taken me all day to do them. I'm going to try and get these done earlier because I have other things and projects I want to work on. But I'm being told to draw just a couple of color cards for the collective to really just show where the healing can happen this week and really what you want to focus on. So the first color I have is actually Azure. This is about protect yourself. This is great. You definitely do want to protect yourself this week. It's actually kind of funny how the full moon is Scorpio, and Scorpio in the 11 Steps of Serious Joy, which I highly recommend that you check that out. If you go to Soul Garden TV on YouTube, I really highly recommend that you check that out. But Scorpio is I protect energy, so definitely you want to protect yourself. I think it's cool how in this it's 3 and 6, 36, which adds to a 9. 9s keep popping up. You can't make this stuff up, man. You can't make it up. Protect yourself this week and protect the space that you are creating to really become that new you, to become the more evolved you. You want to protect that space. It's like when you're planting a seed, you have to clear space for it, and you have to protect it. So protect that space where you're coming into the new you. And it's the bottom card is plum. So this is like, I like to think of this as like kind of like the conscious part, and then at the bottom of the deck, it's like the subconscious stuff. So this is plum, overcoming your fear. Perfect for this as well. We have to overcome our fear of transformation. We have to overcome our fear of letting go things so we can adopt new moves, so we can adopt new ways of being and modus operandi. You have to overcome the challenge of potentially losing people. This is a week where you might lose people, but you might also gain people. And I think the people that you gain during this week are really going to be those that are in it for the long haul and really see your self-worth and your self-value because you saw your self-worth and your self-value. That is it for your reading. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate it. If you would like a personal reading with me, you can follow the link to the AquarianAdepts.com in the description below. And always remember, my beautiful brothers and sisters, to keep moving forward, to stay focused, and Yahoo! Smile often.